Resolution recognizing Star Graber, PhD, licensed married family counselor, behavioral health director upon retirement for 39 years of service to the county of San Luis Obispo. It reads as follows. Whereas upon retirement, we celebrate the 39 years of commendable service that Dr. Star Graber has provided the county of San Luis Obispo's behavioral health department since November 3, 1986. And whereas Starr began her remarkable career with the county in alcohol services as a therapist and was promoted to drinking driving program coordinator in 1991. She played a key role in the merger of drug and alcohol services and became the prevention and planning supervisor in 1994, drug and alcohol program supervisor in 1999, and clinical program manager for drug and alcohol services in 2001. In that role, she led the department's merger with mental health to form the Behavioral Health Department in 2006. She later served as division manager for drug and alcohol services and ultimately became director of the Behavioral Health Department in 2023, where she has served the health agency with excellence. And whereas Starr, while building credentials as a leader in substance abuse prevention and treatment across the state, received her doctorate in psychology, focusing on criminal justice, and brought innovation and expertise to the county's adoption and expansion of forensic mental health and substance abuse disorder services, including Prop 36, AB 109, diversion, and the robust array of behavioral health treatment and recovery courts that thrive in San Luis Obispo County. And whereas Starr has been a champion for families across the spectrum of prevention, treatment, and recovery, and has created and sustained extraordinary programs and relationships with other departments, the courts, and community-based organizations, and through strong leadership, program development, and her multi-million-dollar grant writing skills, she has secured decades of critical programming and an endless list of successes in everything from school-based mentoring to medication-assisted treatment to family reunification programs to coalition-based initiatives like the Opioid Safety Coalition, and many, many more, all of which reflect her passion for evidence-based solutions and her commitment to serving those in need. And whereas Starr and her program development and leadership have likely saved thousands of lives, it is also true that her professionalism, grace, tenacity, stealth-like precision, and organizational skills have influenced hundreds of employees who see her as both teacher and role model, using her patience, calm, instinct, and wisdom to make staff feel safe, supported, and encouraged to be at their best. And whereas Starr stepped into the role of behavioral health director with a plan for accomplishment, fully marked up the giant dry erase board with her office, and went to work on integrating clinics for one-door services, creating an access and crisis division to focus on streamlining the complex continuum of care, with her clarion call of beds, beds, beds. She has spent the last 3 years overseeing the development of and providing support to projects which will yield more than 100 much-needed treatment beds in San Luis Obispo County. And whereas Starr's retirement will certainly not end her influence and impact on the field of behavioral health, co-occurring disorders treatment, and recovery, as she will continue to guide addiction study students at Cuesta College, where she has been part of their faculty, and guiding new counselors and therapists to the workforce since 2009. And whereas Starr's retirement does mean upheaval for many fish currently swimming along peacefully in the lakes of the North County, and the opportunity for Disney parks and hotels to finally get some business, and for the 49ers, Giants, and Oregon Ducks to have her undivided attention. And whereas, most importantly, Starr's retirement means she can focus on the 3 most important people in her life as she prepares for fun, fishing, and adventure with her loving, patient, and truly supportive husband and partner, Randy, her cherished son, Brandon, who brings her so much pride, and her dear, beloved granddaughter, Aliyah. Now, therefore, be it resolved and ordered that the Board of Supervisors of the County of San Luis Obispo, State of California, does hereby commend and thank Behavioral Health Director Star Graber, PhD, LMFT, for her 39 years of dedication to clients with severe mental health conditions and substance abuse disorders. Be it also resolved that Star is wished the best of health, happiness, and fulfillment in her retirement.
Introduce our Public Health Agency Director, Nick Drews.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair and the board. I wanted to say thank you for allowing me to speak today. Sometimes I think it's a little unfortunate that it takes saying goodbye to be able to say thank you, especially in a career like the one Dr. Graber has had. And I will get weepy, so I apologize if you see that. It's unfortunate, especially in the career that Dr. Graber has had, that it doesn't come with a lot of pomp and circumstance. It comes with a lot of action, and it comes with a lot of change, and it comes with a lot of lives that have been saved, but it doesn't come often with the words thank you. And so I hope you see with everyone around you today that you are very much appreciated. We all care very much about you, and you've made a huge difference in the lives of those in this community. So thank you very much, Star. I've known Star for about 10 years now, but it wasn't really until she became the behavioral health director that we started to work together, and I saw her leadership skills in play. Stealth is the right word. It was a very good one. The other one I'd like to use is poker face, because there is no one who has a better poker face than Star Graber. She is a strong leader. If you look at those who she leads, you will find that out, because they care about her. They want to follow her to the ends of the world. They want to make the difference that she sets it for them. When you listen to all of the many things that were said about Star and her career, I think one of the most profound is her focus on drug and alcohol addiction and the connection between drug and alcohol addiction and mental health. For many, many years, they were separate. We looked at them as different things. Dr. Graber has been the lead, not just in our county, but in the state, in seeing that co-occurring condition between the two. And I think what's important for us to know is that we have a leader amongst our ranks. We don't have someone that just represents our county, but we have someone that those around the state look toward to see what should we be doing and where should we be going. And it's going to be difficult to be without her. She has recently really stepped up in the world of crisis and urgent care and mental health crisis services. You've obviously seen recently, we've been in front of the board many times about a lot of the great work that's happened. I'll tell you this much, Star, those words that you said, beds, 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 you'll hear me say them too after every single presentation that we do on this service, because that is it, and that's what's going to make a difference. I know there's a lot of people here today, and I have a feeling there are a lot of yellow slips, and so I want to make sure that I don't steal all the time and say what I have to say. So with that, if I could turn it over to you, Frank.
Thanks, Nick. Thank you. I'll be brief. Nick touched on things such a great deal. Frank Warren, Deputy Director. Star's in this audience. If you look over, a lot of these seats are filled with people that she's influenced, people that she's hired, people that she's nurtured, people that she's moved in ways that are stealth-like. They didn't know they were being redirected when they were being redirected. They didn't know they were being coached when they were being coached. There's a ton of us here who are better thinkers because of Star, much better leaders. Some of us are better dressers because of Star. Not all of us, but many. The influence is natural. One of the things that I've been thinking about as we get ready to give her all the flowers she deserves in this time of retirement is, I was hired by Star. I've had 3 bosses in my tenure at the health agency of 30 plus years, and 2 of them have been Star, and or twice I've had. And there is nothing like going to class every day when you are excited about the subject and you're motivated by the teacher. and you want to be in that classroom every single day because something good's going to happen, something's going to challenge you, something's going to defeat you, and she isn't going to let you be defeated. She's going to find a way to pick you back up. And there's so many of us here that have that feeling. When she got her 35-year pin, and I said, I didn't want to say too much because it'll go to her head because she's kind of like that. I'll just say this. One of the things that gets said a lot about leaders in long-term, careers like this is about creating family and these maternal and paternal ideologies, and that's not Star at all. Star is nobody's mom at work. Star is nobody's parent at work. Star is everybody's Dr. Graber. She is the leader. She's the thought process. She's the force behind what you do. She's the person you think of when you're wondering, what would Star do right now? What would Star want me to do is probably the better question. And I spent a lot of years asking myself that question as I was driving around the county doing my work, thinking, what does Star want me to be doing? That's leadership to me in a way that doesn't really get taught or developed. And so I want to acknowledge that there's so many of us here who don't feel that Star is a maternal figure. Star is somebody that literally is her name. That's who we follow. That's who we look up to. That's who we see. That's who lights our path. And that's what needs to be said when we come to this point in her career where we get her ready for the next part, which is thank you for just being that light, that star. So thank you.
Star, would you like to say a few words before we go to the other members of the public?
I'll make it just really quick. It's been a wonderful career, and I have been challenged, and I have enjoyed every single day. And the work that we do within the county is so important and so important to people. I don't necessarily consider myself working directly with people, but with systems and with my employees who do all of the work. And I'm honored to have had this career. I'm honored to be here today. And I have to, of course, thank my family members who have put up with some late nights and weekends and all that kind of thing over the time. My husband, Randy, my son, Brandon, and my granddaughter, Aaliyah. She's in school today, so that's important too. I really just want to say things have changed a lot over 38 years. One of the things I was remembering, of course, is how much computers have changed. And those of us around started with Lotus Notes 1, 2, 3, and the computers were not connected. You had your single computer, and they were not mobile, and so forth and so on. So a lot of things have changed, and we've grown and progressed. And I appreciate my team. They are the best. And I look forward to all of the great things that they're going to do in the future. So thank you very much for your support as well. And thank you, everybody who came today. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Dr. Graber. We're going to hear from a few other members that would like to recognize you. Michael Kaplan. And then after Michael, we'll have Barbara Livingston and then Wayne Hanson.
Good morning. I'm Michael Kaplan. I'm the Community Engagement Director from Transitions Mental Health Association. Our Executive Director, Jill Bolster-White, and our Deputy Director, Barry Johnson, are both out of town. They asked me to come today to honor the amazing collaboration we've had with Dr. Graber. And true to form, they weighed me down with bullet points. Star Graber brought a focus on substance use services long before the state of California recognized substance use as the community issue we know it to be today. Star took the helm at a very difficult time for our state and county in this post-COVID era, with budget constraints locally and statewide, the advent of CalAIM and Proposition 1 and the behavioral health transformation, and her leadership was just what slow behavioral health needed. San Luis Obispo County has benefited from her okay, this is kind of tedious. And it's not like I'm telling you anything you don't already know or that all your people don't already know. I feel like there's got to be a better way to celebrate this woman. So if you'll indulge me, you're a star. You're a top-notch mentor. You're a star. You're a treatment center. You're a dream on a team and no one feels alone. You're zero waste. You're evidence-based. You're naloxone. You're the fuel that can drive each service. You're the cool whenever Frank gets nervous. We're a CBO and you helped us go so far. Thank you for your friendship. You're a star.
Barbara Levinson, do you still want to speak? Can you top that? Coming up, Barbara. Well done, sir.
That's an awesome act to follow. Well done. Good morning, everybody. I'm Barbara Levinson, and I'd like to acknowledge, along with so many others, all the excellent work that Star Graber had given to San Luis Obispo County. As chair of the Behavioral Health Board, I've had the opportunity to work with Star and her leadership team, beginning with her appointment as director of the Behavioral Health Department in May 2023. The board was still holding virtual meetings, and we were facing the public reporting of the 2022 grand jury deliberations concerning behavioral health services being provided in the community. The resulting capstone report enumerated areas of concern that needed to be addressed. Star Graber and her leadership team set to work to gather public comment through listening sessions with problem solving and collaboration in mind, and that is really what started the balls rolling. The Behavioral Health Board was continually kept informed and weighed in on what became the 5-year strategic plan for services to be offered in our county. When the budget cuts of 2025 were announced, Star and the leadership team addressed the situation by reaffirming partnerships, creating solutions for new funding sources, and keeping the Behavioral Health Board informed and involved in prioritizing programs that would meet most of the needs of the county in new ways. Thanks to Star Graber, we have moved forward in securing spaces, I'll say that, beds, where community members of all ages can receive care without having to travel out of the county. Best wishes, Star, as you continue your life journey. And we are left with an awesome map to move forward. And I thank Star for her leadership and her guidance of the board. Thank you so much.
Wayne Hanson.
Members of the board, board chair, members of the board, fellow colleagues, and everybody else. My name is Wayne Hanson, and I'm fishing for my last bit of notes here. I'm really old school, so these are analog notes, not using my cell phone. My name is Wayne Hanson. Good morning. I am a former employee of County Behavioral Health, Drug and Alcohol Services. And I've known Star Graber. Star Graber and I have worked together, known each other for years, for decades actually, since 1986. And when I think of her, I think the feeling that really comes to mind for me is admiration. I was always impressed, you know, when I visited her office by this little sign that she had over her door, visible from the inside, and visible from her desk. And that sign said, "Be kind." Profound words coming from in an age where, you know, that sentiment coming from leaderships in certain circles is in very short supply. I was accustomed to administrators and managers who wanted to demonstrate attributes like be tough, be smart, be efficient, but be kind? That was a new one to me. But when I think about it now, I have to realize that that had everything to do with her success in a demanding environment. Not to mention the fact that she's a supremely gifted, strategic visionary. I'll give you a moment to let that sink in. Honestly, I looked to Star because I thought she was the best supervisor, the most creative manager, and the most resourceful administrator I'd ever encountered in all my years working for the county. She was right up there with Paul Hyman, former director of Drug and Alcohol Services many years back. Early in her supervisor career, Star jumped at the opportunity to take a leadership role in incorporating Stephen Covey's 7 Habits into an overhaul of our organizational mission and values. She was the first to implement standards of practice among all of the various services that we provided. And in an environment of constrained resources, she was critical in mobilizing talent, both in the community and within the department, to create new programs and go after state and federal grant funding and get that funding awarded. Her entrepreneurial spirit allowed us to be able to do better than the usual budgetary advice of do more with less. With Star, we were able to do more with more. But more importantly, one of her best character attributes was making you aware of your importance and value. You know, you'd walk into her office, you'd have some kind of problem, and, you know, Star was very busy, but she would drop everything she was doing, she would make eye contact, she would smile, she would be attentive. It was like you were the only thing on her mind at the moment. It was remarkable. And it was like she made you aware that to her, you really mattered. So it's with great joy that today I wish all the best to Star in her retirement. I know she's going to be very busy and continue to be a real force of nature out there in the world. And Star, you really matter to us. Thank you.
I'm going to bring it back to the board now for comments related to Dr. Graber and Supervisor Gibson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Star, the history documented in the resolution and the tributes offered by our staff speak to the extraordinary reach of your life in this world and the job you've done for the residents of this county. You know, I caught a word you said in your comments that you loved every day, but you were challenged every day. And I think about the world in which you work, where a mental health and substance abuse system was sort of taken apart 60 years ago, and it never really got put back together in as logical a fashion as we might have wanted it. So every day it was a matter of how do we get the job done? When I say we, I mean you and your colleagues and mentors. And what strikes me is you fought through the bureaucracies and the stigma that's attached to the disorders that you treat. was that you kept such a positive outlook, and it really strikes me that you're still there inspiring the next generation of folks who will take on this work. So thank you so much, and enjoy the outdoors and all the other things that await.
Supervisor Moreno.
Thank you. There's nothing I can say that hasn't already been said, but I will thank you for the foundation that you have laid. The things coming forward have your fingerprints all over them, so thank you. Enjoy retirement, and my gift to you is that I will not sing.
Supervisor Pashon.
I don't know how I can follow any of these people and these stories, but as addiction and mental illness in our community are devastating families, and what you have done in your careers truly helped those families be whole and come together and heal and make the world a better place for those families. So I want to thank you for your years of experience and for making those tough decisions in those really difficult situations made better. Thank you.
Supervisor Ortiz-Lake.
Yeah. We feel so grateful that you've served here for all these years and grateful that you've taken the lead in these last years. We've really seen incredible amount of talent come forward and all the ideas and everything that everybody said. I thought it was really, when you talked about the changes with computers, I think about, the changes of when we talk about drugs and just having the pharmaceutical aspect of the drug interaction impacting mental health and how that has evolved and changed and created the really challenging things that we see now, and how much you've brought that leadership and recognition to help us figure out what to do next. How do we help those families? How do we help those individuals? And so thank you for that. And I just have to ask the question that, do you think your first name Star really had anything to do with just the enormous amount of contribution and just how you've given so much and the amount of talent that you've put forth, and just really, it's remarkable, Dr. Graber. So thank you very much.
Dr. Graber, you are truly a star. It's been a pleasure serving with you on the Behavioral Health Board. You have navigated the challenges and the complexity with a demonstrated model of leadership. In fact, I came across a really good definition of leadership just the other day that I want to share that I think embodies how you've led us through these challenges. Accepting responsibility for enabling others to achieve shared purpose under conditions of uncertainty. And I really want to highlight the fact that you and your team have pivoted, created new divisions like the Access and Crisis Division, made government responsive to the current needs of our community. And we are going to miss you big time. And Frank, good job at making us, a little worried about who's going to replace her. But anyway, we really appreciate your many years of service to the County Star and wish you the best in retirement. Let the record reflect that was a standing ovation. Thank you, Dr. Starr.